with Stephen A.
No.
that Boston.
No.
Wait, you didn't even let me finish.
Go ahead.
Should be the title favorite.
No, title favorite.
Yeah.
No way. I mean, this is a weird team. And listen, I understand it's timing with this money, and I understand, you know, what the heck, it's $60 million a year. Boy, to make Jaylen Brown, who is maybe a top 15 player, maybe, if I'm pushing the envelope, he's a top 15 player, and you're going to pay him $60 million a year? And I understand money grows on trees in the NBA. I understand that. But boy, oh boy, they are, to me, not the NBA favorite. First off, a team in the West has got to be the NBA favorite. They lost to Miami terribly in this past postseason, where Miami was all banged up, lots of guys in the G League playing, and they were down 3-0 and then laid an egg in Game 7. Porzingis has been in a million teams, so I can't count on him. He's been on the Knicks, they got rid of him. Dallas, they got rid of him. Washington, they got rid of him. So now all of a sudden, Porzingis is going to become Sat Sanders. I got to see that. Look it up if you don't know who Sat Sanders is. I gotta see that. The Celtics are one of many good teams. If things broke right, could they win an NBA championship? Well, I'm not going to be silly about it. Of course they could. But are they the clear-cut NBA favorite because Jaylen Brown got $60 million a year? Who, if he cracks the top 15, we are pushing it? Not a chance.
Let me just say, Vegas gives them the second best odds behind the Nuggets.
How could they get the? They didn't even win the conference.
I'm just telling you.
How are they the second best?
I don't decide what Fat Rob and all your friends in Vegas do.
No, they're not the.
Let me get on Doggy. Doggy, I'm going to be serious with you here. You need to stop, okay? Stop going to, listen, you know you've covered the world of sports for 4 decades. You were there when you saw Magic Johnson, the great Magic Johnson, make back-to-back turnovers against the Celtics in the NBA Finals in a Game 7 where Dennis Johnson was able to strip him. You've seen the Boston Celtics lose and come back. You saw the Lakers upset in the first round where Ralph Sampson getting the alley-oop drop in, you know, in the first round of a deciding Game 5 to knock out Magic Johnson and the Lakers. Throughout history, you've seen teams lose and still come back and be a favorite. You know that. You've seen it in baseball, you've seen it in football, you've seen it in basketball, where somebody didn't necessarily have to be the champion the year before in order to be the favorite for the upcoming season. So stop that nonsense. That's number one. Number two, you know my prognostication has very little to do with the signing of Jaylen Brown to that money. We understand that he got the money that he got because they want to keep him. He's only 26 years of age. He turns 27 in October. You know, he's got at least 8 or 9 more years left in him with the skill set that he brings to the table and the market because of the new collective bargaining agreement, the TV money that's coming in, et cetera, et cetera. That's why he got the deal that he got. He was in a position to get the supermax. Just like once upon a time, the supermax, just recently, there was over $250 million for certain players, over $200 million for other players. A few years before that, it was over $100 million. The market is what has changed. That's why he was in a position to get the money. I said yesterday when he got the money, I said the first thought that came to my mind, Doggy, was Jason Tatum. Because if you're giving Jaylen Brown this money, what the hell are you going to give Jason Tatum? Because he's the number 2 option on the Celtics. Tatum is number 1. Tatum is the face of that franchise. And Tatum is a year younger. Jaylen Brown is 26. Jason Tatum is 25 years of age, okay? So we understand what the Boston Celtics are doing here. They're talking about continuity. Here's why I have them as my favorite. And I didn't say they're the prohibitive favorite. I'm not ignoring the continuity that the Denver Nuggets bring to the table, the greatness of Jokic, et cetera, et cetera. But the Boston Celtics were in the finals the year before. They were in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals this year after being down 3-0 and then winning 3 straight before losing in that Game 7. They did it with Robert Williams playing half the season. Over the last couple of years, he can't stay healthy. Al Horford is 37 years of age, as skilled as he is 37. What you did in acquiring a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, who's 7'3", he's 7'3" and can block shots. You've added size to your front line but also complemented that with shot blocking ability along with three-point shooting ability. The man averaged 23-8 this past season. He shot 38% from three-point range. He's a career 36% shooter from three-point range. We know he could do that. He's not the star you want. He's not even a number 2 option that you want definitively, but a number 3 option behind a Jason Tatum who's 6'9", behind a Jaylen Brown who's 6'7". It's something that you can't ignore. Mazzulla can coach. He's no scrub as a coach. He made mistakes as a rookie, but he's no scrub as a coach. We understand that. Then you got to take into consideration that Brad Stevens is an excellent executive. He's proven that. He's a damn good coach, but he's an exceptional executive. And you kept Derek Brown. You kept Malcolm Brogdon, who's your reigning 6th man of the year. Sure, you didn't want to lose Marcus Smart, who I think is going to help Memphis immensely. But the bottom line is if you look at Boston, you essentially kept your nucleus intact while adding size and shot blocking ability to your front line and an additional three-point shooter. That is why I have the Boston Celtics as a favorite. And I don't think it's far-fetched. You could say Denver, and it's a debate, it's argumentative, but when you look at rosters throughout the league, look at Boston's roster and tell me somebody definitively who's better. I have them as the favorite, and I don't think that's far-fetched. And I think Vegas validates that.
Well, number one, Steve, Porzingis has never played a playoff game. All right?
So?
Can I see him in a big game before we sit there and make him out to be some
Everybody surrounding
big
him has
player?
played in a big game.
Who's that?
He's surrounded by people who played a big game. Everybody else has.
Oh, come
Am
on,
I
he
lying?
hasn't done anything.
Stephen A.,
Am I lying?
that's a fair point.
He's the
to
Knicks
say
got
we
rid of
haven't
him.
seen what he
Dallas
does
got
in
rid
the
of him.
playoffs.
Washington got rid of him. All these teams gave up on him.
Excuse me, because they had expectations. In New York, he was supposed to be a number 2 option and then a number 1 option. Obviously, in Dallas, he was supposed to be number 2 with Luka. They couldn't get along. Then he goes to Washington, and he was supposed to be the number 2 behind Bradley Beal.
Right.
That's not what they're asking of him in Boston, Doggy.
Okay, we
He's
have to leave it there.
surrounded by guys.
We want to know, among the top 4 sports leagues in the U.S., NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, who's the most valuable player? Stephen A.?
I think it's LeBron James. That's me personally. I'll let Doggy tell you who he's going to pick. I won't be like him and tell you his answer before he speaks, trying to use that as a debate tactic, thinking it's going to work for him when it never does. I'll stick to my point. LeBron James is a global iconic brand, as well as the NBA being a global iconic brand. And I think when you think about LeBron James, it's not just his greatness as a basketball player. It's also him being the conscientious observer that he is. So there's no indifference when it comes to him. You love him or you can't stand him. There are people who can't stand him. And there are people like me, you, Harry, and many others who love him and appreciate what he brings to the world of sports and what have you. Yes, he's my number 2. He gets mad because I will never say he's number 1 over Jordan. He's not getting that from me. It's never going to happen, okay? But I got him as number 2 all time. I think he's that phenomenal. And I think that when you consider what he's brought to the table off the court, not just as a conscientious observer, to some degree an activist, but also without question as a businessman, a producer, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many things he brings. Combine that with the fact that the NBA has gone successfully about the business of globalizing its brand. And he's arguably the face, actually undisputably, the face of that brand, okay? I don't think there's any question about what he brings to the table in that regard. And as an aside, let's all collectively say thank God his son Bronny is okay. He collapsed on the court the other night, cardiac arrest, serious as it gets. 18, 19 years of age, something like that happens. That kid is lucky to be alive and in a position to potentially pursue his dreams and his aspirations for years to come. That could have easily gone the other way, a la Hank Gathers, a la Reggie Lewis, and others. So thank God Bronny appears to be okay.
Hopefully a happy story like with Hamlin. You want me to go next there, Molly? I'm going to take Ohtani. I don't think it's even close. This is a guy who is Babe Ruth. He pitches and he hits. He doesn't play one side of the ball. He plays both sides of the ball. Now, he's not Ruth because he's not as good at as Ruth was in either one of the two endeavors. He's not as good a hitter and he's not as good a pitcher. But the fact that the guy goes out there and throws every 6 days, he's had a very good year on the mound. A little shaky lately. He's had a cracked fingernail, but he's a big-time pitcher. And then leads the major leagues in home runs with 36 home runs.
Did you just say that loud? Did you just say that loud? A cracked fingernail?
He's hurt.
Okay.
I think Ohtani, he's going to make about $700 million in the open market when he's a free agent this year. He's going to have every team in the world going after him. He's huge in Europe, huge in Japan, and he's just huge in that part of the world. He won the World Baseball Classic by striking out Trout.
Oh, the one the one that you said was a joke that didn't matter to you. You mean that one? You mean that one? You mean that one? that I had to tell you? That's what you're talking about now?
But he did a good job. He got the out. That was important. He got the out. Ohtani,
You're hilarious. I'm
Ohtani
telling
is
you,
the guy.
boy.
Ohtani, he can bring up LeBron. LeBron's 38 years of age. Okay? If I miss a LeBron game, in Sacramento in the middle of January, I'll live with it. But if I'm around and I got an Ohtani at bat and I got an Ohtani mound appearance where he starts, that is must-watch television. Here is a guy that starts the game and DHs. So not only could he throw a 3-hit complete game shutout, he could hit 2 homers in the same game. In both aspects of both aspects. Everybody likes him. He's got a lot of personality. He's a huge person in 2 continents. I don't think it's even close. Ohtani is number 1.
So for me, it's going to be on the football side of things. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. And when you look at when Patrick Mahomes was drafted by the Clark family with the 10th pick overall, when they decided to move up in that draft, that's going to go down as one of the greatest picks in a team moving up to trade for in NFL history. You look at the last 5 years and what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do, 5 AFC championships, 3 Super Bowl appearances, winning 2 of those Super Bowls and also winning 2 MVPs. In a year in 2022, when a lot of people thought Patrick Mahomes was going to be left for dead because Tyreek Hill went to the Miami Dolphins, he only wins the MVP award again, throws for over 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, completes 67% of his passes, and wins the Super Bowl. So when I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and I can't see a life without Patrick Mahomes right now as it's constructed. You look at the NFL and how they're going international, playing games in Germany, London, also Mexico. Patrick Mahomes is well known across the board.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.